Coming to you live from the Putasos Podcast.
Oh no! Just slapped him like that!
All right, guys, welcome back. Episode number 14 of Putasos Podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Special guest today, my son, Josiah James. And also we have MJ right here on the pod. So this is a little family episode. Year's coming to an end. We just finished up Christmas. New Year's coming up. This is the first ever Putasos Podcast year-end awards 2023. We have huge stuff planned for 2024. We're going to be at a ton of events. We plan on turning this thing up and all the way to the top. So appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, guys. Starting off with upset of the year, we have Sean Strickland beating Israel Adesanya. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Not only did he upset him, he beat his ass. So shout out Sean Strickland, upset of the year. Next one's going to be submission of the year. So submission of the year, there was a lot of good submissions this year, but the most impactful one was Alexa Grasso submitting Valentina Shevchenko. She won the belt, and she also ended up retaining it, so that's why that's my submission of the year. The next one is going to be knockout of the year. This knockout of the year was hard to pick, but we picked Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell. That one's the Putasos pick of the year because he just flatlined him. I was this close to picking Izzy versus Pereira, but when you look at just the quality of the knockout, it was a one-shot, just out, flatline, face down. So that one was knockout of the year. Plus, he made him seize up. That was really bad. That was terrible. And, you know, we were there, so, you know. All right, next one is fight of the year. This guy's fighting demons right now. He's okay, Papa. All right, this next one is going to be fight of the year. There were some close ones. There was one that we just went to. It was Aldana versus Rosa. That was a banger fight. But the Putasos pick of the year is going to be Islam versus Volk 1. I thought Volk won that first fight. Obviously, second fight went a little bit different, but that was the fight of the year in my opinion. Super competitive, down to the last minute. That fight could have gone either way. Next one is going to be fighter of the year. So the Putasos pick for the fighter of the year, Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland had a great year. He only fought once, granted. He only fought once. But I feel like he had the most meaningful year inside and outside of the cage. This dude's following shot through the roof. Everyone loves him. We saw him jump in at Duplessis at the fight. And I love Sean Strickland. So that's why it's the Putasos pick of the year. All right, guys. Next one is going to be top breakthrough fighter of the year. So this one was a tough one. There's a lot of really good fighters coming up in all the divisions. I'm going to be biased for a minute here, and we're going with Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel has an elite skill set when it comes to wrestling. His last fight, he showed that he has knockout power as well. I'm really excited to see where he goes, and I think that he's a really tough matchup for anyone in the middleweight division. Putasos pick of the year, Bo Nickel. All right, guys, 2023 moment of the year. So there was a ton of cool moments. Seeing John Jones go up to heavyweight and take the belt, massive moment. Seeing Sean O'Malley stiffen Aljo, massive moment. In my opinion, the biggest moment of 2023 was Israel Adesanya getting his revenge on Alex Pereira and knocking him out dirty for the belt back. All right, guys, 2023 UFC card of the year. The Putasos pick of the year is going to be UFC 285, John Jones versus Cyril Gane. On that card, you had Gamrot, you had Bo Nickel, you had Alexa Grasso, you had Shavkat. That card was stacked, and everybody performed. That's why that's the Putasos pick of the year. All right, guys, and then one of our favorite parts is we're going to pick a Putasos picks for 2024 champ year-end predictions. Putasos pick for flyweight is going to be Alex Perez. So Alex Perez fights Muhammad in Saudi Arabia March 2nd. That's a really big fight for flyweight. There's not really too many contenders. And if Brandon Moreno beats Amir in Mexico City, it's going to be hard to give Brandon Moreno that fourth fight versus Pantoja. I could see Alex Perez skipping the line, fighting Pantoja for the second time, and taking that belt home. Coming in at bantamweight, I have Henry Cejudo. So Henry Cejudo fights Merab in Anaheim in February. If Cejudo gets past Merab, I think that Cheeto's going to beat Sean O'Malley. The only way I see him not touching the belt is if Sean O'Malley makes that fight really close, which it could be. and they give him an immediate rematch and he doesn't fight a third time at the end of the year. But I think so long as Cheeto does his thing or Sean does his thing and Henry Cejudo wins, I don't really see anybody else they're giving that title shot to. So I see Henry Cejudo taking the bantamweight title by the end of 2024. Featherweight, Volkanovski. I think Volk is going up against his toughest test next. So he has Ilia Topuria in February, same card that Cejudo's fighting on. But I think he whoops on Topuria. I think Topuria has really good hands, and there's always that chance of the knockout. But I think if Volk gets past Topuria, there's really nobody else. I mean, at that point, you have maybe a Josh Emmett, maybe a fourth Max fight. But I think Volk's pretty much stamped his spot at the top of the featherweight division. I see Volk holding it all the way through the whole year. Lightweight, I got Islam holding it down. So I'm not sure how the Ramadan thing works or like when he fights, but I think he's going to fight at least twice this year. I think you're going to see him fight Justin Gaethje for the belt. I don't see it going much different. I think it's going to be worse than Khabib versus Gaethje just because Islam has more tools. But I think Islam's going to stop him, and then I think he's going to just retain that belt throughout the end of the year. Coming in at welterweight, I got Islam. So I think Islam's going to beat Gaethje. I think after he beats Gaethje, he cemented himself at the top of the division. There's really not too many people. So I see Islam going up to welterweight. After he beats Gaethje, he cemented himself at the top of the division. And I know he wants that welterweight title shot. And I think that the UFC will give it to him. I really don't see anybody at welterweight beating Islam. I think Islam would work Colby. I think he would take out Leon. I think Usman might be a better fight, but I can see Islam just dominating for the welterweight title. Double champ status by the end of 2024. Middleweight. All right. This one was tough for me because there's just so many moving parts on middleweight. As much as I want Sean Strickland to hold down that belt, I got DDP. So I got Duplessis. I think that he can get past Sean Strickland. Depending on what happens with Izzy and who he fights or if he wins, Duplessis might fight Izzy, and I think that's his toughest fight. But if Izzy doesn't fight anybody or goes up a weight or loses a fight, then you have Whitaker versus Costa. I think Whitaker probably wins that fight, and I think Duplessis can beat Whitaker again. So I see Duplessis holding the belt, beating Sean Strickland for the belt, and then holding it through the end of the year. All right, light heavyweight. This one was tough. So it obviously depends on how the year plays out and if Pereira goes up in weight or if that's just a rumor or whatever. But I have Pereira holding the belt through 2024. I do think he might go up in weight. I was super close to picking Jamal Hill, but I think Pereira can get the job done and hold the belt throughout 2024. I think Dana's been pretty clear about what he wants to do with the heavyweight division, so he's going to hold out. Tom Aspinall is going to hold down the interim title. John Jones comes back. He fights Stipe. Keep in mind, they said John Jones would be out for up to 11 months, and he got injured in November. So if he comes back end of the year, he's probably only going to fight one time, and I think it's going to be that Stipe fight. I think he gets the job done. So I do think John Jones will hold down the belt throughout 2024. If he retires, obviously, interim champ gets promoted and you have Tom Aspinall. So long as he doesn't retire, John Jones is holding that belt down throughout 2024. For the women's division, at strawweight, you have Zhang Weili, the current champ right now. I don't think there's too many girls at the weight class that are going to challenge her. Putasos Pick of the Year, Zhang Weili holds down the belt. Now, going up to flyweight, current champ is Alexa Grasso. If you've been paying attention to social media, her and Zhang Weili want to fight each other. I think they want to get that done either at the Sphere later in the year or at 300 in a couple months here. If that happens, I think Zhang Weili beats her. I think you see Zhang Weili holding down both strawweight and flyweight. All right, guys. Now for the UFC bantamweight division for the women's, there's currently no champ. So in January, you have Raquel Pennington versus Silva for the vacant title. However, I don't think either of them are going to have the belt by the end of the year. I think you're going to see Juliana Pena heal up, get back in there, probably fight later in the year and take that belt from either of those girls. Juliana Pena will be your champ by the end of 2024. Well, my family left me. I'm spending too much time in the podcast room, so it's time for me to go. Appreciate you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the picks. If you guys think otherwise, let us know in the comments. Putasos Podcast, episode number 14.